I found them in my bed, my husband and my identical twin sister, naked, sweating, making sounds I thought were reserved for me. My name is Cassandra, and that moment shattered my world into a million pieces I'm still picking up 3 years later. I stood in the doorway of my own bedroom, grocery bags in my hands, watching my life implode in real time. Josue didn't even have the decency to look ashamed when he saw me. He just rolled off Camila like it was Tuesday and started reaching for his boxers. "Cass, we can explain," he started. "Can you?" I dropped the bags. Apples rolled across our hardwood floor. Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty self-explanatory. Camila sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. My sheet. The one I'd washed that morning before running to get ingredients for the dinner I was planning to cook for my husband. She had the audacity to look annoyed. "You weren't supposed to be back until 6, she said. Not sorry, not mortified, just irritated that I'd interrupted their schedule. "Well, excuse me for ruining your afternoon fuck in my own house." Josue finally found his voice. "Look, this isn't how we wanted you to find out." "Find out what exactly?" He exchanged a look with Camila. She nodded like they'd rehearsed this. "We're in love, Cass. We have been for months." The words hit me like a physical blow. I gripped the doorframe to stay upright. "Months?" "It just happened," Camila said, still wrapped in my sheets. "We tried to fight it, but—" "You tried to fight it?" I laughed, but it came out broken. "In my bed, with my husband?" "He was never really yours," Camila said quietly. "Not the way he is mine." I stared at her, my identical twin. Same face, same DNA, same parents who'd spent 32 years making it crystal clear which daughter they preferred, and now she'd taken the one thing I thought was mine alone. "Get out," I whispered. "Cass," Josue started. "Get out!" They scrambled for their clothes. I watched them dress in my bedroom, these two people who'd been the most important in my life until 5 minutes ago. Camila avoided my eyes, but Josue kept trying to catch my gaze, like he wanted to explain more. "We'll come back for our things later," he said. "Our things?" "I'm moving in with Camila. We're going to try to make this work." I nodded slowly. "Of course you are." After they left, I called my mother. Surely she'd be as horrified as I was. Surely she'd have something comforting to say about her daughter's marriage falling apart. "Oh, honey," Mom said when I finished explaining through tears. "I was wondering when you'd find out." The phone slipped in my hand. "You knew?" "Camila told me last week. She was so torn up about it, the poor thing. But honestly, Cassandra, I think she's just more his type. More his type. My identical twin was more his type than me." "What does that even mean?" "You know how you can be, sweetheart. A little intense. A little much. Camila has that lightness about her, that joy. Men respond to that." I hung up on her. The wedding invitation arrived 11 months later. Cream cardstock with gold lettering. Camila and Josue requesting the pleasure of my company at their union. The return address was my childhood home. They were living with my parents now. I stared at that invitation for 3 days before I found the family photo on Facebook. The engagement party I wasn't invited to, Mom and Dad beaming, arms around the happy couple, everyone smiling, like this was the most natural thing in the world, like I'd never existed at all. That's when I deleted every contact from my phone. Every family member, every mutual friend, every connection to the life I'd built with people who'd erased me without a second thought. Every contact except one. A number I'd saved months ago but never called. A consultation that had gone nowhere when my marriage started cracking. A brilliant heart surgeon named Solomon who'd been kind to me during the worst period of my life. The contact name read, "Solomon, do not use, yet." I stared at those 4 letters, yet, and smiled for the first time in months. Maybe it was time. 3 years of radio silence. 3 years of building a life so good they couldn't look away, just like my best friend Laura had said. You need to disappear, she'd told me over wine the night I got that wedding invitation. Not literally, but from their world. Build something so incredible they'll choke on their own regret. Laura was the only person who'd stayed in my corner when everything fell apart. While my family was busy playing Happy Reunion, she helped me pack my life into boxes and move to New York City. Therapy? She'd asked when I told her my plan. You sure about that career switch? I've had a front row seat to family dysfunction my whole life, I'd said. Might as well get paid to help other people navigate theirs. The irony wasn't lost on me. The girl whose family had imploded was now fixing other people's relationships. But it worked. I threw myself into grad school, internships, building a practice. Every late night studying, every difficult client, every small victory. It all felt like armor I was building around myself. My office overlooked Central Park. I had clients who actually valued my opinion. I was making real money for the first time in my life, money that was mine alone, and I was completely, utterly alone. You're isolating, Laura said during one of our monthly dinners. When's the last time you went on a date? I'm focused on my career. Bullshit. You're hiding. She wasn't wrong. The idea of trusting someone again, of being vulnerable, made my skin crawl. Every time a guy showed interest, I found reasons to shut it down. Too pushy, too boring, too much like Joshua. That's when fate decided to intervene. I was at a medical conference, networking for referrals. Mental health and physical health went hand in hand, and I was trying to build relationships with doctors who might send clients my way. Dr. Cassandra? I turned around and nearly dropped my coffee. Solomon Craig stood behind me, looking exactly like I remembered, but somehow better. Taller, maybe, or maybe I was just seeing him differently. Solomon, hi. My voice came out steadier than I felt. I wasn't sure it was you. It's been, 3 years? Something like that. We'd met during the worst period of my marriage. Joshua and I had been trying to have kids, and I'd needed a referral to a fertility specialist. Solomon had been professional, kind, and completely unaware that I'd spent our entire consultation thinking about how different he was from my husband. How are you? He asked. Did you and your husband ever, We divorced. The words came out flat. Turns out he found someone more compatible. Something flickered across his face. Sympathy, maybe, or recognition. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't be. Best thing that ever happened to me. We talked for 20 minutes. He told me about his work at Mount Sinai, the cardiac surgeries that kept him up at night, the patients who made it all worthwhile. I told him about my practice, carefully editing out the family drama that had inspired my career change. Would you like to get dinner sometime? He asked as the conference was winding down. The old me would have said no, would have made excuses about being busy, about not being ready. I'd like that, I heard myself say. Our first date was at a quiet Italian place in the village. He asked about my family, and I gave him the sanitized version. I have a twin sister. She's married. My parents live upstate. We're not particularly close. That must be hard, he said. Family is everything to me. I almost laughed. Family can be complicated. True, but they're the people who know you best, right? Who love you no matter what. I took a sip of wine to avoid answering. If only he knew. 6 months later, he was telling me he loved me. 8 months after that, we moved in together. A year after that, he proposed at a charity gala in front of 500 people, including half the medical establishment in New York. The ring was perfect. The moment was perfect. The photographer who caught it all was definitely not part of the plan. But when Solomon Craig proposes to someone, apparently it's news. Dr. Solomon Craig, renowned cardiac surgeon, announces engagement to Dr. Cassandra Sanderson, prominent therapist, the society page read the next morning. I stared at that headline over coffee, my phone buzzing with notifications I'd been ignoring for 3 years. Everything okay? Solomon asked, kissing the top of my head. Perfect, I said, and meant it. My phone buzzed again, a text from a number I didn't recognize but somehow knew by heart. We always knew you'd find happiness. Love, Mom and Dad. I showed the message to Solomon. That's nice, he said. Are you going to respond? I smiled and deleted the text. Eventually. The flood started exactly 12 hours after that society page hit the internet. First came the emails. My mother, writing like we'd talked yesterday instead of 3 years ago. Darling, I saw the wonderful news. We always knew you'd find your perfect match. Can't wait to meet Solomon properly. Then my father, congratulations on your engagement. Your mother and I would love to take you both to dinner to celebrate. Even Josue had the balls to reach out. Hey, Cass, saw the announcement. Happy for you, really. But the one that made me laugh out loud came from Camila. Sister, I'm so excited for you. No hard feelings about the past. We're family. Can't wait to catch up. XOXO. Sister, like she hadn't stolen my husband and my parents in one fell swoop. They're all coming out of the woodwork, I told Laura over lunch. It's like I won the lottery. In their minds, you did. Laura stabbed her salad. Solomon Craig isn't just successful, he's connected. Hospital boards, charity galas, society pages, they smell opportunity. The same people who erased me from family photos want to be my best friends again. What are you going to do? I smiled. Play nice, for now. The call started that evening. Mom, breathless with fake enthusiasm. Cassandra, honey, I've been trying to reach you for days. Why haven't you been answering? I've been busy planning a wedding, Mom. Of course. That's actually why I'm calling. I want to help. We want to help. Your father and I have some connections that might be useful. That's thoughtful of you. And we'd love to meet Solomon properly. Maybe we could all have dinner? I could make my famous pot roast. The same pot roast she'd made for Josue every Sunday during our marriage. The same pot roast she'd probably made for him and Camila after they moved in. I'll talk to Solomon and get back to you. Wonderful. Oh, and Cassandra, I hope you know how proud we are of you. We always believed you'd find someone special. I hung up and immediately called Laura. They always believed I'd find someone special? Are you kidding me? What did you say? Nothing. I was polite, gracious even. That's not like you. I'm evolving. The next day brought flowers, 24 white roses from Camila with a card. For my beautiful sister on her engagement. Can't wait to celebrate together. Solomon found me staring at them in our kitchen. They're gorgeous, he said. Who sent them? My twin sister. I didn't know you had a twin. That's amazing. Is she identical? Very. I'd love to meet her. And your parents. When do I get to be properly introduced to the family? I looked at him. This brilliant, kind man who believed families loved each other unconditionally, and felt something twist in my chest. Soon, I said. We're planning the wedding in Italy, remember? Maybe they could come for that. Italy will be incredible. How many people are we thinking? Small, intimate, just the people who matter most. That weekend, I started making calls, wedding planners, venues, caterers. Solomon wanted something elegant, but not ostentatious. I wanted something perfect. What about a rehearsal dinner? The wedding planner asked. Somewhere special for your closest family and friends? Definitely. I'm thinking Villa San Michele in Tuscany, something with history. Beautiful choice. Very exclusive. How many guests for the rehearsal? I pretended to count in my head. Let's plan for 40. I'll send you the list. The invitations went out 3 weeks later. Cream cardstock with gold lettering, just like the one Camila had sent me years ago. But these were different. These were mine. I hand-delivered one to my parents' house upstate. Mom answered the door, and for a split second I saw genuine shock cross her face, like she'd forgotten I existed until that society page reminded her. Cassandra, what a wonderful surprise. I brought your invitation personally. She opened it with trembling fingers. Villa San Michele in Tuscany? Oh my goodness, this is so elegant. Only the best for my wedding. We'll be there, of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm so glad to hear that. I handed her a second envelope. This one's for Camila and Joshua. Mom's smile faltered slightly. You're inviting them? Of course. We're family, right? No hard feelings about the past. That's very mature of you, sweetheart. I've grown a lot in the past 3 years. Driving back to the city, I called Laura. You invited them? All of them? Every single one. Cass, what are you planning? A wedding. A beautiful, perfect wedding. That's not what I mean, and you know it. I smiled, watching the Hudson River blur past my window. Sometimes the best revenge is just showing people exactly who they are. If you're going down this road, be damn sure your revenge doesn't consume you. Don't worry, I said. I'm not the one who's going to get consumed. Solomon was quiet during dinner, pushing his pasta around his plate instead of eating. We were at our favorite restaurant in Little Italy, but something was clearly bothering him. You okay? I asked. He set down his fork. I got a call today from my old colleague at the fertility clinic. My stomach dropped, but I kept my expression neutral. Oh? There's been some follow-up on a case from a few years back, before I left that practice. He rubbed his temples. God, I hate thinking about that place. What happened there? Solomon had mentioned leaving his previous position abruptly, but he'd never gone into detail. I'd assumed it was just career advancement. There was this couple, he said slowly. They came to me desperate for help. The wife was convinced they had fertility issues, but all their tests came back normal. I kept telling them to be patient, that sometimes these things take time. That sounds reasonable. It was, but they weren't hearing it. They wanted intervention, wanted me to prescribe treatments they didn't need. He shook his head. Then things got ugly. How ugly? They started doctor shopping, getting second opinions, third opinions. When no one would give them what they wanted, they tried to manipulate the system. I leaned forward. Manipulate how? They forged lab results, made it look like there were issues that didn't exist. When I refused to treat based on falsified records, they tried to file a complaint against me, said I was negligent, that I'd missed obvious problems. My blood ran cold. What did you do? I had to hire a lawyer. The clinic administrator, Marquis, was amazing through the whole thing. He helped me document everything, prove the records were fake, but the whole experience left a bad taste in my mouth. Is that why you left? Partly. I couldn't stand the idea of desperate people lying to get treatments that could harm them, or worse, trying to destroy my career when I wouldn't enable their deception. I took a sip of wine to steady myself. Do you remember their names? God, yes. You don't forget something like that. Joshua and Kamala something. They were married, but she kept her maiden name. Said they were identical twins who'd found love. He laughed bitterly. Even lied about that. They weren't twins at all. The room started spinning. What did you say? The couple. They claimed to be twins who'd fallen in love and gotten married. Some weird story about how they'd overcome family disapproval. But when I saw their medical records, different birth dates, different blood types, just another lie in a pile of lies. I gripped my wine glass so hard I was surprised it didn't shatter. Solomon, I said carefully, what were their last names? Clark and something with an S. Sanderson, maybe? Why? The pieces clicked into place with devastating clarity. Joshua and Camila hadn't just stolen my marriage. They'd tried to destroy the man I was now engaged to marry. Cass, you look like you've seen a ghost. I forced myself to breathe. Those people, Joshua Clark and Camila Sanderson, they're my ex-husband and my twin sister. Solomon went completely still. What? Joshua is the husband I told you about, the one who left me for someone more compatible. That someone was Camila, my identical twin. Jesus Christ. He pushed back from the table. Are you serious? Dead serious. And they didn't lie about being twins. Camila and I are identical. But she was never married to Joshua when they came to see you. They were having an affair behind my back. Solomon's face went through a series of emotions: shock, anger, disbelief. So when they told me they were married twins trying to conceive, they were lying about everything. They weren't married yet, and they definitely weren't having trouble conceiving naturally. They just wanted to speed up the process. Why would they do that? Because Camila has never been patient for anything she wants, including my husband. Solomon stood up abruptly. I need some air. We walked outside, the cool evening breeze doing nothing to calm the storm in my chest. This is insane, he said. The people who tried to ruin my career are your family? Former family. And now they're all coming to our wedding? I looked at him, this good man, who'd been hurt by the same people who destroyed my life. Not if you don't want them there. Do you want them there? I smiled, and for the first time in days, it felt genuine. Actually, yes, I really do. Why? Because I think it's time they met the real Solomon Craig, the one they tried to destroy. Solomon studied my face in the streetlight. What are you planning, Cass? Nothing dramatic, just a family reunion. The next morning, I called Marquis Watson at the clinic. Dr. Watson, this is Cassandra. I think we need to talk. Marquis Watson had the kind of voice that made you trust him immediately. Warm, professional, with just enough authority to make you believe he could handle anything. Dr. Cassandra, he said when I called, Solomon mentioned you might be reaching out. He told you about the connection? He did. Quite the coincidence, isn't it? I don't believe in coincidences anymore. Marquis chuckled. Neither do I. Would you like to meet? I think I have some things that might interest you. We met at a coffee shop near his office in Midtown. He was exactly what I'd expected, mid-50s, graying at the temples, with the kind of steady presence that probably made panicked patients feel better. I brought copies, he said, sliding a manila envelope across the table. Everything we documented during that mess with your ex-husband and sister. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Lab reports, consultation notes, correspondence, all of it stamped with official seals and signatures. They really tried to destroy Solomon's career over this? They filed formal complaints with the medical board, claimed he was negligent, that he'd missed obvious fertility issues. If we hadn't been able to prove the lab work was forged, it could have ended his career. I flipped through the papers. There it was, in black and white, evidence of Joshua and Camila's deception, their willingness to destroy an innocent man to get what they wanted. Why are you helping me with this? I asked. Because Solomon is a good doctor, one of the best I've worked with. What they tried to do to him was unconscionable. Marquis leaned forward. And because I have a feeling justice is about to be served. What makes you say that? He smiled. Call it intuition. That afternoon, I went to the finest stationery store in Manhattan. I needed something special for what I was planning. I need wedding RSVPs, I told the clerk, but not traditional ones. What did you have in mind? Something that looks official, professional, like a medical document. The clerk raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. 24 hours later, I had exactly what I needed. The RSVP looked legitimate. Cream card stock with embossed letterhead reading Reproductive Health Associates. At the top, in elegant script, response requested for the wedding of Dr. Solomon Craig and Dr. Cassandra Sanderson. But underneath, instead of the usual will attend, will not attend, there was something else, entirely. A copy of the fertility fraud report, complete with Marquis' signature and the clinic's official seal. At the bottom, in my own handwriting, looking forward to seeing you in Tuscany. We have so much to catch up on. I addressed the envelope to my mother and had it hand-delivered by courier. The call came 3 hours later. Cassandra Marie Sanderson? What the hell is this? My mother's voice was shaking. I'd never heard her sound so rattled. Hello, Mom. I take it you got my RSVP? This isn't an RSVP. This is documentation, evidence, the truth. Where did you get this? Does it matter? The question is, did you know? Silence on the other end. Did you know, Mom, that Josue and Camila tried to destroy my fiancé's career years ago? That they lied and cheated and forged medical documents? I don't understand what this has to do with everything. It has to do with everything. I was pacing now, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The man I'm marrying? The one you're suddenly so interested in meeting? He's the doctor they tried to ruin. That's impossible. Is it? Or is it just karma finally coming around? Another long silence. Cassandra, we need to talk about this, in person. We will, in Tuscany, at the rehearsal dinner. Maybe we shouldn't come. Maybe it would be better if... Oh, you're coming, Mom. You wouldn't miss this for the world. None of you would. I hung up before she could respond. Solomon found me in our kitchen an hour later, staring at my phone. How did it go? He asked. Better than expected. Any regrets? I looked at him. This man who'd been hurt by the same people who'd betrayed me, who'd built a beautiful life despite their attempts to destroy him. None whatsoever. My phone buzzed with a text from Camila. We need to talk. Now. I showed it to Solomon. Are you going to respond? Eventually, but not until Tuscany. You're really going through with this? We're going through with this. Together. He kissed the top of my head. I love you, Cass. I love you too. And in 2 weeks, everyone's going to know exactly why. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Josue. What game are you playing? I smiled and turned off my phone. The game was just beginning. Villa San Michele was everything I'd dreamed of and more. Cascading wisteria, golden light filtering through ancient olive trees, and a terrace overlooking the Tuscan hills that looked like a painting. The rehearsal dinner was set up in the main courtyard, with string lights twinkling overhead and violinists playing softly in the corner. I stood at the entrance in a flowing emerald dress, greeting guests as they arrived. Solomon's colleagues, my closest friends, Laura looking stunning in navy blue. Everyone was relaxed, happy, celebrating. Then I saw the rental car pull up the gravel drive. My parents emerged first, Mom in an outfit that was trying too hard to look expensive, Dad uncomfortable in a suit that didn't quite fit. They looked around the villa with barely concealed awe, like they were calculating the cost of every stone. Camila and Josue came next. She was wearing white, of course she was, a flowing dress that made her look ethereal in the evening light. Josue had his hand on her back, protective, possessive. They both looked nervous. Cassandra! Mom rushed over, arms outstretched for a hug I didn't return. This place is absolutely magnificent. Thank you for coming, I said coolly. Dad nodded awkwardly. Beautiful venue, very impressive. Camila approached hesitantly. Up close, I could see the tension around her eyes, the way she kept glancing toward the other guests. Cass, she said softly, you look incredible. Thank you. So do you. White's always been your color. She flinched at the barb, but Josue stepped forward. We appreciate the invitation, he said. After everything, it means a lot that you'd want us here. Family is family, right? Before anyone could respond, Solomon appeared at my side. He looked devastatingly handsome in his charcoal suit, completely at ease among the elegant surroundings. You must be Cassandra's family, he said warmly. I'm Solomon. I watched their faces as recognition dawned. Mom looked confused. Dad was squinting, trying to place him, but Camila went completely white, and Josue actually took a step backward. Solomon Craig, Solomon continued, extending his hand to Josue. I believe we've met before. Josue's hand was shaking when he took it. I don't think. The fertility clinic, about 4 years ago. You and Camila were trying to conceive. The silence that followed was deafening. Even the violinists seemed to pause. Oh my God, Camila whispered. Small world, isn't it? I said brightly. When Solomon told me about this difficult couple he'd dealt with at his old practice, I had no idea he was talking about you two. Mom was looking back and forth between us. I don't understand. What's going on? Why don't we get some champagne? I suggested. We have so much to catch up on. I led them to a quiet corner of the terrace, away from the other guests. Solomon followed, his presence solid and reassuring beside me. Sit, I said, gesturing to a cluster of chairs. Please. They sat like children called to the principal's office. Mom and Dad still looked confused, but Camila and Joshua knew exactly what was coming. So, I began, taking a sip of champagne. Solomon was just telling me the most interesting story about his time at the fertility clinic, about a couple who forged medical records and tried to destroy his career when he wouldn't give them unnecessary treatments. Dad frowned. What does this have to do with? Everything, Dad. It has to do with everything. I turned to Camila. Would you like to tell them, or should I? Camila was gripping her champagne glass so hard I thought it might shatter. Cass, please. Please what? Please don't tell our parents that while you were sleeping with my husband behind my back, you were also trying to ruin the career of the man I'd eventually fall in love with? Mom gasped. That's not possible, isn't it? I pulled out my phone and showed them a photo from the clinic files. Camila and Joshua in the waiting room, her hand on her still flat stomach, both of them looking desperate and scheming. You tried to destroy Solomon because he wouldn't help you fake a fertility crisis, I continued. You forged lab results. You filed false complaints with the medical board. You were willing to end his career because you couldn't wait 9 months to get pregnant naturally. We were desperate, Joshua said quietly. You were selfish, just like you were selfish when you decided my marriage was expendable for your happiness. Dad was staring at Camila like he'd never seen her before. You did this? You really did this? It wasn't supposed to hurt anyone, she said, tears starting to fall. But it did hurt someone, Solomon said, speaking for the first time since the confrontation began. It hurt me. It hurt other patients who might have been afraid to trust doctors. It hurt the entire medical community. We're sorry, Camila whispered. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Sorry, you're sorry now. Not when you were stealing my husband. Not when you were trying to destroy Solomon's career. Not when you erased me from the family like I never existed. You're sorry now, when you're caught. Mom was crying now, too. Cassandra, we didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. I stood up, smoothing down my dress. Around us, the party continued. Laughter, music, the clink of glasses. Normal people celebrating love and happiness. I want you to understand something, I said, looking at each of them in turn. I didn't invite you here to forgive you. I didn't invite you here to rebuild our relationship. I invited you here so you could see exactly what you threw away. What do you mean? Dad asked. I mean you chose her. I pointed at Camila. You chose the daughter who lies, who cheats, who destroys people to get what she wants, and you lost the daughter who would have loved you unconditionally forever. I turned to leave, then stopped. Oh, and about tomorrow? The wedding? You're not invited. The sound of Camila's sob followed me as I walked away, Solomon's hand warm and steady in mine. The morning of my wedding dawned perfect. Golden sunlight streamed through the villa's ancient windows, and I could hear birds singing in the olive groves. I stood on my balcony in my silk robe, looking out over the Tuscan countryside, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. You're up early, Laura said, appearing beside me with 2 cups of coffee. Couldn't sleep. Too excited. No regrets about last night? I thought about the scene on the terrace. Camila's tears, my mother's shocked face, the way Joshua had looked like he wanted to disappear into the stone floor. None. They tried calling your room all night. The front desk said your mother was practically hysterical. I'm sure she was. Laura studied my face. You know they're still here, right? They didn't leave. I know. They're probably going to try to crash the ceremony. Let them try. Security knows they're not on the list. 2 hours later, I was in my wedding dress. It was everything I'd dreamed of. Vintage lace, flowing train, delicate beading that caught the light when I moved. My hair was swept up in an elegant chignon, with my grandmother's pearl earrings completing the look. You look like a princess, Laura said, adjusting my veil. I feel like one. There was a knock at the door. Laura went to answer it, and I heard hushed voices in the hallway. Who is it? I called. Your mother, Laura said grimly. She wants to talk. Tell her I'm busy. Cassandra, please. Mom's voice carried through the door. Just 5 minutes. I looked at myself in the mirror one last time, then nodded to Laura. Mom looked terrible. Her eyes were red and swollen, her carefully styled hair disheveled. She was still wearing yesterday's outfit like she hadn't slept at all. You look beautiful, she said, her voice breaking. Thank you. Cassandra, about last night. There's nothing to discuss. Yes, there is. We made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But you're still our daughter. I turned to face her fully. Am I? Because for the past 3 years, I haven't felt like anyone's daughter. We were confused, hurt. We didn't know how to handle what happened between you and Josue and Camila. So you chose sides. We chose wrong. Tears were streaming down her face now. We chose wrong, and we lost you, and we've regretted it every single day. Have you? Yes, God, yes. Do you think it was easy? Do you think we didn't miss you? You had a funny way of showing it. Mom stepped closer. Let us make it right. Let us be part of your life again. Please. Why? Because I'm marrying someone successful? Because now I'm worth your attention? Because you're our daughter, and we love you. I stared at her for a long moment. This woman who'd raised me, who taught me to ride a bike, and helped me with homework, and held me when I cried over my first heartbreak, who'd also chosen my sister over me when it mattered most. I know you do, I said finally, but love isn't enough anymore. What do you mean? I mean some things can't be fixed with apologies and tears. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. That's not true. Family is forever. No, Mom. Family is the people who stand by you when everything falls apart. Family is the people who love you at your worst, not just when you're successful enough to make them look good. She was sobbing now. Please don't do this. Please don't cut us out forever. I'm not cutting you out. You cut yourselves out 3 years ago. I'm just finally accepting it. There was another knock at the door. This time it was Solomon, looking devastatingly handsome in his tuxedo. Sorry to interrupt, he said, but it's time. I took his arm, and we walked past my mother without another word. The ceremony was perfect. 50 of our closest friends and colleagues gathered in the villa's garden, surrounded by roses and lavender. The officiant spoke about love and commitment and the courage it takes to build a life with someone. When Solomon and I exchanged vows, I meant every word. When he kissed me as my husband, I felt like I was finally, truly home. During the reception, I caught glimpses of my family through the windows. They were sitting in the hotel lobby, still in yesterday's clothes, looking lost and broken. Camila was crying into Josue's shoulder. My parents sat apart from them, staring at nothing. Do you want me to have security move them along? Solomon asked. No, let them stay. Let them see what they're missing. Later that evening, a paparazzi photo would surface online. Camila at a cafe in the village, mascara streaked down her face, looking absolutely devastated. The caption would read, Mystery woman breaks down after being excluded from exclusive Tuscan wedding. But I didn't know that yet. All I knew was that I was married to the love of my life, surrounded by people who truly cared about me in the most beautiful place on earth, and for the first time in years, that was enough. The honeymoon suite overlooked the Mediterranean, and I was sitting on the balcony with my morning espresso when Solomon brought me the newspaper. "You made the society pages again," he said, kissing the top of my head. The photo was stunning, us dancing at our reception, surrounded by twinkling lights and laughing guests. The headline read, "Fairy Tale Wedding in Tuscany for Power Couple Dr. Craig and Dr. Sanderson." But it was the smaller photo in the corner that caught my attention. Camila at that cafe, looking absolutely destroyed. The caption was brutal. "Uninvited. Mystery woman spotted crying outside exclusive wedding venue." "Do you feel bad?" Solomon asked, following my gaze. "I feel free." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "This is Joshua. We're flying home today. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better." I showed it to Solomon. "Are you going to respond?" "No point. He's right, but it's too late for sorry." We spent the morning walking through Positano, holding hands and talking about everything except my family. Solomon bought me a bracelet from a local artisan, and I bought him a leather journal for his surgical notes, normal newlywed things. That afternoon, Laura called. "How's married life, she asked. "Perfect. How's the aftermath?" "Messy. Your parents checked out of their hotel this morning. Your dad looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight." "And Camila?" "Haven't seen her since yesterday. But Joshua was in the lobby around noon, looking like someone had died." "Someone did. Their version of me." "Cass, I have to ask. Do you think you'll ever forgive them?" I watched Solomon reading on the terrace, the afternoon sun highlighting the gray in his hair, and felt that familiar surge of gratitude for the life we'd built together. "Forgiveness isn't the point anymore, Laura. The point is that I'm happy, really genuinely happy, and I did that without them." "That's very zen of you." "It's very realistic of me." When we returned to New York, there was a pile of mail waiting. Bills, wedding congratulations, and 3 letters that made my stomach clench. One from each of my parents and one from Camila. "What do you want to do with these?" Solomon asked. I looked at the envelopes, at the familiar handwriting I'd once loved seeing. Then I walked to the fireplace and tossed all 3 into the flames. "That's what I want to do with them." Solomon wrapped his arms around me as we watched the letters burn. "Any regrets?" "About the letters? No. About the whole thing? No. About finally standing up for myself?" I turned in his arms. Never. The next morning I was back in my office, seeing clients. My first appointment was a woman whose sister had stolen her boyfriend. "I just don't know how to move forward," she said, tears streaming down her face. "How do you forgive something like that?" "Who says you have to forgive?" She looked surprised. "Everyone. My therapist, my friends, my mother. They all say forgiveness is the only way to heal. Forgiveness is one way to heal, but it's not the only way. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is accept that some people aren't worthy of your forgiveness and build a life so good that their absence becomes a gift." "Is that what you did?" I smiled. "That's exactly what I did." That evening, Solomon and I hung our wedding photos in the living room. The one from Positano took center stage, both of us laughing, the ocean sparkling behind us, pure joy on our faces. "No ghosts in this picture," he said. "No ghosts anywhere." As I was closing up my office that night, I found myself looking at the photo on my desk. It used to be a family picture from years ago. Me, my parents, Camila, all of us smiling at some long-forgotten holiday gathering. Now it was the picture from Positano. Just Solomon and me, building something real and lasting and ours. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "I saw the wedding photos online. You looked beautiful. I hope you're happy. K." I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Some people say revenge doesn't heal. Maybe they're right, but it sure as hell reminded everyone who I am. And more importantly, it reminded me. I'm Cassandra. I'm a successful therapist, a loving wife, and someone who refuses to accept crumbs from people who should have given me the whole meal. I'm also someone who learned that the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building a life so beautiful that their absence becomes irrelevant. And that's exactly what I did.